Hey guys, breaking news. And this video will probably upload on Saturday, but I wanted to record it today for you guys and then join you in the chat. This is a rally, and now it is very difficult to find this at this point. This happened today, but it is very difficult to find this video anywhere on the internet. It's being scrubbed. You can't even find it really on like the alternative websites. For some reason, these are very few and far between. But what this is Putzkin down here in this little dot in a crowd of tens of thousands of people in a rally around the operations in Ukraine. Now, in this video, in some of the English versions that I was able to find, which are only maybe a minute long, a minute 30 seconds, in those he talks about and reiterates why they went in. And it all has to do with the Yahtzees infiltrating the highest levels of the military and the government in the Ukraine. And now, I don't know if that's a lie or not, but that's the claim. And we have to think logically about this and the history of the United States in using mercenaries from the worst of the worst on this planet. Us using them, giving them weapons in our history, in our own military history, to carry out tasks that we wanted done. We had the Mujahideen, which we weaponized. Terrible, terrible group of people. The equivalent to what a Yahtzee would be, right? And, of course, Al-Qaeda as well. And many, many other groups that are basically very questionable and commit horrific acts. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility that the same thing is happening in Ukraine. And this is why the United States will not acknowledge it, because they know that this is a problem, because they tend to be the fiercest fighters, because they're actually fighting for an ideology versus just fighting because they want to get paid or fighting just because they were part of a military. And so this is our history, which substantiates this claim by Putzkin. I just couldn't believe all the people in this crowd. This is just crazy. Now, of course, the reports on this that we are getting from our media, because guess what? They get to watch what the Rushkins are reporting, and then they report on it, but we're not allowed to because we're not smart enough to figure it out. Unbelievable. But anyway, in their reports, in our own U.S. media reports, they're basically trying to spin this, saying that, you know, all these people were forced to go there. You guys, if you really think a leader could pick off millions of people for not showing up to his rally, then you're not living in reality. Okay? He's one person and his army, and they're not going. The last thing he's going to do is get mad at his own people for not showing up to the rally. He's got enough on his plate as it is, trying to rally support around his troops that have gone into Ukraine. So, of course, these people weren't forced to go there, and these people seem pretty hyped up. Now, you can go and search on the internet, but you're not going to find much on this. You're going to find short snippets. You're not going to find the full rally. And you're not going to probably, this one's actually not even translated. So that's the deal with this one. So you're not going to even understand what they're talking about, which is why I have the sound off as well. But that is a lot of people to show up to something, you know, like this. Now, I'll say it again. I don't support any country invading another country, but we in the United States have done far, far worse. Now, you'd think that people who were born in Europe and you know, Eastern Europe would know what's going on. But here we have Arnold Schwarzenegger, Arnold F Your Freedom Schwarzenegger, you know, talking out of his you-know-what, because you know, I'm about done with this guy. I mean, remember the whole masks and everything? And he said, F your freedom. Well, this is how he really feels about our freedoms in this country. So what kind of authority is he to speak on these things? He's not, is he? Because he's so out of touch. You know, you give a guy 30, 40 years in this country, and he doesn't even know what he's talking about anymore. So they totally want to disregard the NATO encroachment. They want to totally disregard the infiltration of the Yahtzees, which is well documented and well known, as well as all the bad things that happened to native speaking people in the Ukraine at the hands of these Yahtzees. Okay, none of the Western media really wanted to report on that to the extent that it should have been reported on. They did a little bit, but not much. And now they're acting like it never happened. So here we have Arnold. Let's read what he has to say here. Make an appeal to the Russian people. So he's trying to get the Russian people to turn on Putzkin. Does it look like anyone's going to turn on him? Look at this crowd of people. If they wanted to take him out, don't you think this would be the opportunity to do so? Look at all these people in here. You mean to tell me that if these people really disagreed with what he was doing, that they couldn't rush the stage and take him out within seconds? Of course they could. So this tells me that there's a whole lot more to the story than meets the eye. And like I said, by this time, in any conflict that we've been in, we've already taken out tens of thousands of citizens and innocent bystanders in our track record for war and invading countries. So, in terms of, the I guess you call it, the gauge of, how well you're doing in terms of reducing collateral damage, Putzkin is doing pretty good right now, isn't he? Now, no collateral damage is good damage because it's all bad, but this is what's going on. Let's keep reading about what Mr. Schwarzenegger has to say about this. He did a 9-minute video on his social media pages calling for an end to the war. So far, I agree with him. And telling Russian soldiers and citizens who have their media controlled and censored by the government. Have you looked around lately, Mr. Schwarzenegger? You can't find anything on Russia. Our media is controlled and censored. Now, I agree that Ukraine did not start this war, but NATO did. With this encroachment, and Ukraine, at the least, is inept in their ability to control their own soldiers and what they've been doing in their own country and how they've been treating certain citizens, certain Russian citizens. So, at the least, they're inept. And I would call it criminal ineptness. Let's keep reading here. I'm speaking to you today because there are things that are going on in the world that are being kept from you. You think? R to the T just got scrubbed off of all of YouTube. They had about 20 different channels. Every single one of them was scrubbed off. From the most moderate to the most aggressive to the most pro-Russian. But they're gone. Now, you can find them on other channels, other sites, but they're gone off of YouTube and most of the other social media sites, unless you go to an alt site. They've been scrubbed even off of some of the most, freedom-loving alt sites, like Telegram. So what does that tell you? So, obviously, you're out of touch, dude. You're out of touch. Let's keep reading here. Terrible things that you should know about. The global superstar who visited Russia many times for work and as a tourist began his message. So, we're not going to listen to his message, but here they use this tired old excuse that de-Yahtsifying the Ukraine is a lie, saying Putzkin's lying about this, and they use the age-old excuse that the president is of descent that could not possibly support a Yahtzee. But they don't take into account that he has no control over his own military, or that sometimes people make deals with the devil so they can obtain a mission. Their mission is to get Russian citizens out of the Ukraine. That's his mission. So maybe he has made a deal with them. Just because you have a certain heritage means absolutely nothing for some people. So I agree with some of what Schwarzenegger says, but most of it I do not agree with. And so he's mixing truth with lies. And here we are in the most censored country in the world at this point. I've never seen anything like this in my life. You know, never in my life. And this is why we have to use coded language. And, you know, soon they can start coming after people who disagree with the narrative, knocking on your door, freezing your assets for saying anything positive about Russia. Right? So, Schwarzenegger talked about the United Nations vote in which 141 countries condemned Russia for starting the war. Yeah, 141 countries making up maybe 30 or 40% of the world's population. So a lot of this is misinfo. It's not giving you the full story, not the full context. Because most of the world's population did not come forward and condemn Russia. Right? Where is the world's population at? You guys think about it. Use your noodle. Most of it is in the Middle East. Most of it is in Russia, of course, China, India. None of those countries came forward and condemned them. And yet here they're bragging about their 141 countries. Misinfo. Let's keep reading here. The world has turned against Russia. Oh, part of the world has. The part that's been aligned with us, the U.S., has, but others have not. Why aren't they telling the other side of the story? Now, there's a lot of collateral damage happening. But, you know, there are conflicting reports. Who are you to believe? Well, just because you're an American, do you have to believe what our media tells us about who bombed some of these places? Well, according to our government, yes, you have to. You definitely can't talk about it on social media. But, you know, think about it. Think about human shields. Think about people hiding in these kinds of places as cover. Think about them using citizens as cover. Now, if I was a president, I would just simply not take out those places if I was involved in a conflict like this. If I was a person that waged war in other countries, I would go around those areas because that's exactly what they want you to do. Now, is it beyond the scope of imagination that they're taking out some of their own people and that some of those people could be Russians, which is what they wanted to get rid of anyway? Well, the Russian media is reporting some of those instances, but you're never going to see it because it's been shut off from your television. So, their go-to answer is this, that Russia is just lying. They're just, everything's a lie. Okay, so that's their go-to final answer on how to, you know, basically talk you into what they want you to believe. So he goes on and on. We're not going to get into everything else he said, but make a long story short, the guy that says F your freedom, I don't think we need to listen to what he has to say. Now here's the sad part. You got these guys so brainwashed that they're hopping on planes and going over there to actually join the fight. Now this is a serious escalation, because if Putzkin wanted to, he could consider this an act of war against the U.S. for actually sending U.S. troops in. This is paramount to sending U.S. troops in. I mean, it says it right here in black and white. U.S. vet volunteers to fight in Ukraine. A continuation of what we signed up for. So they hop on a plane, they land, and they pick up a weapon, and they go and try to fight. So this is basically the open door that proves that we have escalated this thing and that we are at war with Russia. So, good luck, man. You're living in a dream. You know who needs you right now? All the people that got forced into masked and that lost their jobs because they didn't get a smack scene. Those are the people that need you right now. The people that got rounded up at the crapper hole for simply voicing their opinion and walking into their own tax-funded building. Those are the people that need you right now. Not the people over there dealing with their own problems in a completely separate part of the world. People that need you right now, the people that are getting their assets seized for a parking ticket that they didn't pay. Civil asset forfeiture Those are the people that need you right now. You know who needs you right now is the working poor. In supposedly the richest and wealthiest country in the world, we have people working 40 hours a week living in their car. Those are the people that need you right now. Not the people over there. Now, these are Putzkin's demands. We've covered these in previous shows. No big deal. He says, don't join NATO. You know, you can have an army, but it's not going to come against us. Stop killing Russian-speaking people in your country. Add to your constitution that everyone has equal rights, which is what I thought we all believed in. And you can stay in power. Zoolander can stay there if he wants. And end of story. We leave. Now, to me, this sounds like a great deal because guess what? As soon as you agree to it, if he doesn't leave, now you've got the support of the world because he would have lied, right? But I don't think Putzkin would lie about something like this. I think if he cut a deal and the deal was the deal, you would see Russian troops leaving today and not another person would die. But because we have this team mentality and ego, and we want our team to win, and we want everyone to be in a free country like ours, even though it never happens every time we go into these countries, even though we say that's the goal, we keep believing the lie. We keep believing the lie.